Breakfast. So today we're going to talk about breakfast. We've done some recent videos about dinner places, bars, place to get a cocktail. But to be honest with you, my favorite meal of the day is breakfast. Today we're going to give you what are my top 6. I have my friend Andrew on the show again today, and he was going to tell you about a few others. And we got a couple of extras here at the end. So let's just get right down into it. Well, number one that we're going to talk about, it isn't necessarily my favorite place, but I go here for a specific reason. It's called the Squeeze In.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better known places in Reno. They have several locations. Obviously, they started up in Truckee. But yeah, Squeeze In is a pretty popular spot here.
If they've never been to the Truckee location, the whole reason why it's called Squeeze In, because it's this tiny ass little place that you literally be back to back with the tables next to you. I have a handful of breakfast places I go, and I typically go knowing what I'm going to order before I ever get there. I go to Squeeze In strictly to cheat, and I eat French toast. They let you put fruit on it. I only put bananas on my French toast. It's the big, thick Texas toast. It is a huge plate, like 6 pieces of it. I eat the whole damn thing. But I specifically go there for that. I don't even need the menu. That's what I eat there. And of course, like most breakfast places, their menu is vast and their meals are big. So if you're not a heavy eater for breakfast, you can always share stuff with people. You know, what do you eat over there?
I'm more of a Benedict guy. Like that's kind of my go-to. You'll see as the theme in all these restaurants that we're talking about is the Benedict.
Yeah.
So what they're best known for is their omelets, right? And they're kind of like out of this world omelets. But what kind of put them on the map was Bobby Flay came to town for his show Throwdown with Bobby Flay. Mm-hmm. And probably the most popular one is the Racy Tracy. It's kind of like your classic California omelet. It's got some mushrooms in it, and it's topped with a mushroom sauce. So that one's pretty popular. And then the one that was really featured on that episode was the Spanish Fly.
Right.
So the Spanish Fly, it's got red bell peppers, potatoes, chorizo, smoked paprika, and it's topped with a tomato pesto sauce. So things you wouldn't typically see on your standard omelet or inside your standard omelet, and they just kind of elevate it a little bit.
Well, and they're massive. And I know for me, I like the fact that I like my hash browns to be like shredded, crunchy hash browns. You can get potatoes there too, but I'm all about the hash browns. And like I said, if you're not a big eater, you can definitely share it with a friend because they come in their big plates.
Definitely. And they have massive Bloody Marys, mimosas. They got all the breakfast drinks that you want. One of the more popular, well-known breakfast spots in our area.
So number 2 is a place called Peg's Glorified Ham and Eggs. Does have multiple locations. I have a friend I meet there about once a quarter that we go there. It is much more your old school diner type place. I go to the one in South Reno. There's a big one that's more in downtown Reno. I always go there. I'm just classic breakfast there. It's more eggs, bacon, toast kind of breakfast for me. My friend that goes there, he always gets some sort of omelet or something along those lines, but definitely has more of the boost, and it just kind of looks more like the old school diner type of places. It's been here as long as I can remember. It's been here, and it's just kind of your classic breakfast place. So especially if you're visiting, there's a huge location downtown that you can go check it out. That's easy to walk to, but they've just got all your usual stuff, and I just really like going there.
It's a standard breakfast joint, but consistently great food. Always voted one of the best breakfast places in Reno.
Always.
Like I said, Benedict guy. So my favorite dish there, one of two actually, is the St. George's Benedict. So it is English muffin, chorizo, poached egg, and a chipotle hollandaise on top instead of the standard hollandaise. So it's a little bit spicier. It's got some more flavor. Really enjoyed that. But my favorite dish there is the Loco Moco. And if you've never had Loco Moco, it is a traditional Hawaiian breakfast. And they probably have the best Loco Moco in Reno, in my opinion. It is steamed white rice, ground chuck patty, brown gravy over easy egg. And it is so rich, so filling. It's gonna absolutely make you want to take a nap, but it's delicious Hawaiian delicacy. And what Peg's does that makes it just a little bit different, so they do a side of mac salad with it. So you get the salt, the creamy. It's one of my favorite dishes.
If you've noticed from Andrew, and if you watch our other videos that Andrew's on about food, he tends to go way off the traditional plane. I always love that they call that breakfast. Really, at the end of the day, they just do an egg on it. It's not even really breakfast.
Correct.
But I always love it anymore. You can just throw a fried egg on anything and then just call it breakfast. So it's a great place. They got great locations.
Yeah, they got several locations. I think they have like 5 in the Reno Carson.
Yeah, I can't remember. The ones I'm always at are either downtown or South Reno, but I know there's multiple locations around, so you should look for it.
Yeah, the one downside to Peg's is no alcohol. So no mimosa, no Bloody Mary, but still a great breakfast.
Absolutely. So the next place we're going to talk about is Two Chicks. As you can imagine, just based upon the name, it's locally owned, but they're all about their eggs. And when I go there, I love Benedict's too, but when I go there, I strictly get omelets. I meet my best friend there. We go there maybe once a month over to Two Chicks. It's kind of South Reno, but it's not way south. It's kind of in a good location. It's right next to a hotel. They got a big sign out front of it. It's really huge. Last time I was in there, they were hosting some big networking event in there. So they do all kinds of stuff. There's lots of space, especially if you have bigger groups, because some of these breakfast places don't have the biggest locations in the world. So if you've got more than 4 people, sometimes you got to pay attention where you're going. But I'm huge on their omelets there. And again, unlike you, I tend to stay more to the standard breakfast. But, just the usual ham and eggs kind of breakfast for me, but they've got some really good food in there.
Yeah, so they actually have 2 locations. They have one in Midtown also.
Right.
That was their first location. Always a long wait to get in there. It's always packed. They have 6 different kind of Benedicts. They have one that's a little off the wall that you wouldn't normally see. It's a caprese Benedict. So think of your traditional caprese salad,
right,
with the poached egg and hollandaise and the balsamic glaze on it. Another one of my favorite things to eat for breakfast are breakfast tacos. Super popular in Austin. Not something you typically see around here all that much, but Two Chicks has them, so that you can get them with bacon, sausage, or soy rizo, and just a bunch of other little good things in there. But I mean, breakfast burritos are good, but trust me, breakfast tacos are so much better.
And they do have good breakfast burritos in there as well. And it's funny because you don't see breakfast tacos on menus a lot, but their breakfast burrito that you mentioned briefly, it's really good in there as well.
They also have a great cocktail menu. So if you're looking for breakfast cocktails, great. It's a great brunch spot to go to. My favorite breakfast cocktail there, Morning Glory. It's vodka, coffee liqueur, coconut milk over cold brew. So it's a nice little pick-me-up with a little bit of caffeine in it.
So not your just standard cup of black coffee.
Correct.
All right, so the next place we're going to go to is one of my favorites. We've mentioned on other videos before because they do serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's called Stonehouse Cafe. We've mentioned it many times. The other thing that's nice if you go with a bunch of other people is they have these waffles. I like to get the pecan waffle, but you really don't want to eat the whole thing by yourself because for me, unlike you, I have a sweet tooth. So for me, it's more of a dessert with pecans and syrup and whipped cream all over it. It's not overly big, and if you have 3 or 4 people, each person can take a little piece of it. It's kind of a great, I jokingly say, appetizer to your breakfast. When I go to Stonehouse, I'm all about the salmon Benedicts. To me, this is one of the best places to go. And again, like a couple of these places, Stonehouse is much better when the weather's nice because they have this great outdoor space that you get to kind of sit outside and eat breakfast outdoors. And the inside of the restaurant is just a little stone house. It's not very big, so sometimes it can be challenging to get into when the weather's colder. They've got a great bar, and I know you've mentioned some cocktails at some of these other places, but the Stone Teeny, and again, I'm not a drinker, but I know the Stone Teeny and a few others, they've got a laundry list of drinks. So if you're someone that likes to have a cocktail or something with breakfast, the Stonehouse is amazing.
Stonehouse is probably one of the best brunch spots in town, not just because of the food, but the whole ambiance. The outside, you're basically sitting in a garden, right? And it's a great environment, great cocktail menu. They probably have like 5 different kinds of Bloody Marys, I want to say, that I looked at.
Yeah.
A massive offering of food. Probably the widest variety of any breakfast spot in the area. One of the ones that really stood out to me, seafood scrambler. Scrambled eggs with Dungeness crab, lobster, shrimp, green onion, cheese, and it's topped with hollandaise sauce. Not something that you typically see on most menus around here. Another thing that they have a little off the wall that I really enjoy, breakfast pizza. You ever had breakfast pizza?
I have not had breakfast pizza in there.
Love breakfast pizza. It's just something different, you know? I mean, I love pizza. I like breakfast. Why not combine the 2 things? So the breakfast pizza is super good. And then the one dish that I go that all my friends get, I've got it a few times, and it's not that I don't like it, but this dish is super popular amongst my friend group, chili killies. Everybody loves the chili killies there. So if you're looking for a good chili killies in town, Stonehouse is your place.
So let me ask you this. Do you like to eat breakfast for dinner? Because it seems like you like to eat a lot of dinner for breakfast.
I would not typically eat breakfast for dinner, but I can eat dinner at any meal.
So our next place that we're talking about is Perenn Bakery. The one we go to is in Ranchera. Typically, if I go there, it's a much smaller place, and I typically go there because they'll have baked goods, cookies, all kinds of stuff there. So it's more not even really a breakfast place for me. I'll meet somebody there for a meeting or something. But if you are going to breakfast there, things like avocado toast, a little more like upscale, for lack of a better word, a little hoity-toity-ish kind of food. I mean, I hate to say it.
I would call those healthy options.
Well, okay. You can call it that too. And it's really like, it is definitely a little more expensive in there as well. But if you go certain times of day, the line is out the door and there's not a mass amount of seating unless the weather's good, then they have some outdoor space as well. But if I'm going there, you stand in line and you literally have to stand there in front of all these baked goods. And typically that's something that I would order in there, but I don't typically eat a lot of breakfast there. I just meet people there for meetings and things along those lines and maybe a little more of a snack.
So this place is really known for its breads and pastries.
Yeah.
Probably the best cinnamon roll in town.
I would agree.
Probably the best croissant in town.
Oh.
I would put their cookies and muffins up there as well.
And I think the croissants, they actually turned it into a French toast.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the options. They could have had that before.
They do have an option for that. Like you said, a little bit more elevated breakfast menu, not your typical options. They have Turkish eggs there, lox and bagels, more stuff like that. Like for instance, their egg sandwich.
Right.
Instead of just doing like a scrambled egg or a fried egg, they do an egg souffle. If you've never had an egg souffle before, it's a very fluffy, airy egg that they put inside the sandwich. So it's So it's very light when you bite into it. My favorite thing to get there is actually just one of the bread items that you take and bake at home. So it's a garlic loaf with fig and brie on the inside. And you bake that thing for about 15 minutes, let that brie melt all over it. Oh, it is so good. I could eat a whole loaf for dinner.
Well, I think, and when I go there, my buddy always orders, it's like a lemon ricotta pancake.
Yep,
so there's these things that's just a little more upscale, elevated food. The servings are not quite as massive as you see at some of these other restaurants. So just know that if you're going there, it's going to be a little more up on your budget and a little more high scale food. And again, they've got all kinds of good coffee and other type drinks that go along with that as well.
Yeah, if you're going there on the weekend, be prepared to wait a little bit unless you get there super early, because it's a busy place.
Absolutely. The next place we want to talk about is Grateful Gardens. Grateful Gardens has a place that originally started more in that Midtown. I typically go in, again, the area down in the South. And this is where, if you're trying to be super healthy, or if you're a person that maybe has gluten issues or trying to be vegan, or you're trying to avoid dairy and everything is local and fresh, these are the kind of places that you can get all of those types of things. So whether it is more the standard waffles or eggs or those kind of things, it's going to be much more organic, farm raised, vegan, like a little more healthy type options. And both the locations that I usually typically visit are plenty big enough, as long as you give it enough notice on the weekends. Like, all these places are pretty busy. But for people that have a little more food restrictions and needs, this place is amazing whether you have that issue or not. But there's just a lot of good options for people that maybe some of these other places don't have.
And totally. And if you were to go in there and get some of these vegan options, you'd probably have no idea you're eating vegan food. Like I said, Benedict guy.
Yes.
Couple items that they have there that you wouldn't see at your typical restaurant. Crab cake Benedict.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's pretty standard. Crab cake, egg, hollandaise, jalapeno aioli. Really good. And then one I've never seen anywhere before, seared ahi Benedict.
Yes.
So
I had that.
Seared ahi, poached egg, hollandaise with a wasabi sauce on top of it. And that, I've never had it, but just looking at the menu, I was like, dang, that's something I definitely got.
Well, and something you just don't see around very often. So they do go a little off the board. And again, for people that are looking for somewhere to go, that they have concerns about some of these other places. I know a lot of places, you can get eggs and things like that, but it's pretty limited with toast and other options. In here, you can pretty much get whatever you want.
So one more brunch spot that I really like in Midtown, great environment, big open seating, wonderful patio during the summer, is the Brasserie. New ownership, so things have changed there a little bit. If you haven't been there in a while, I highly suggest you going back. More of a kind of a limited brunch menu, but excellent food. So my favorite thing to get there is the flank steak and eggs. The chimichurri is outstanding, and it comes with twice fried mashed potatoes.
Again, dinner option.
Dinner option. Exactly. One thing, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they used to, is basically bottomless mimosas for 2 hours. Okay. So if you're looking to get a buzz on and, do the day drinking thing with your friends, Sunday fun day brunch, that's an excellent option.
And is breakfast new in there? I've been in there plenty of times for dinner. I didn't realize they always did breakfast. Yeah, I might have done breakfast a long time ago.
Brunch on Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 3.
And again, this is more of a midtown, downtown option for those people that are looking or live closer that want to walk. It's just a kind of a street off the main drag, but I guess I've been in there plenty of times, but it's been a while.
Great brunch option, and you can easily meander to another bar down the street.
Absolutely. Just walk. So these are our favorite breakfast spots, but we do have a couple little add-on additions for people that we want to talk about. So if you're the kind of person like I am that loves a good bagel or a good bagel sandwich, or just open bagels with cream cheese on there, there's a downtown location and a south location called Truckee Bagel. I don't know if there's any other locations, but you can get a really good, all kinds of different varieties of bagels, different varieties of cream cheeses. You can get locks on some of these as well. So if you're just someone who's looking for a bagel, especially if you're heading up to Mount Rose, Truckee Bagel's right there on that Raleigh shopping center, right as you're heading up Mount Rose. So I used to live right by there, so we were going there every weekend for years, but I'm a huge bagel guy. So if you like bagels, Truckee Bagel.
Truckee Bagel's a great option. Always call on my way up to Mount Rose.
Yeah.
15 minutes, orders ready, good bagels. My go-to bagel place, though, is called Desert Sun Bagel. It is over off of Wells Avenue.
Okay.
It used to be a different name. I can't remember what the previous name was, but then they changed it to Desert Sun Bagel. I think they shut down during COVID.
Right.
I think they have the best bagels in town, personally. I like the way that they do their egg. It's not just a microwaved egg.
Oh, of course.
Their breakfast sandwiches are outstanding. Their jalapeno cheddar bagel is probably the best thing on the menu.
I'm always amazed how in Reno you can get a really good bagel. I mean, my family's all New Yorkers, so I grew up with like the real, legit New York bagels.
Dirty water bagels.
Dirty water bagels, baby. And it was hard to find them on the West Coast. I mean, now when I grew up in Vegas, you could find them more because a lot of people relocated from New York to Vegas. But for a city like Reno and the size we are, the fact that there are plenty of places to get a really good bagel, I always think is pretty awesome. So you should check out both these spots. The next place for people that are more into the sweets, if you like donuts for breakfast, and who the hell doesn't like donuts every once in a while for breakfast?
There's one place in town.
It's like the only place to go. It's locally owned. The family that owns it used to be a real estate agent in our office, and now I don't even know how many places there are how many locations they have, but
They have 3 different locations.
yeah, it's Doughboys.
Yep.
So
Jay Kenny owns Doughboys.
Yeah.
Love Jay Kenny. He's a great guy, does a lot of things for the community, always giving back.
Always.
And their donuts are just outstanding.
yeah, and there's some that are literally as big as a Frisbee. They do seasonal ones. So if you're looking for donuts, that is, in our opinion, the only place to go. Following that up, if you are into coffee, Andrew is our coffee expert, so we're just going to let Andrew tell you where you should go.
I have a go-to place. Part of it's convenience, part of it's because I love everything they do there, is Walden's Coffee House. Their breakfast is pretty good. They have a pretty good selection of breakfast for a coffee shop.
Right.
My go-to there is their breakfast burrito. They have an excellent breakfast burrito. They do it on a spinach tortilla, scrambled egg, potato, and then your choice of meat. I always do it with the chorizo, and then the salsa avocado options are outstanding. If you want something a little bit smaller, they have a McWalden. It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's like a McDonald's breakfast sandwich. So English muffin, house-made sausage patty, egg, cheese. It's really, really good. Their coffee cake is also outstanding also. One thing that they do on their mimosa that's different than others, they do a cinnamon sugar rim on top of their mimosa as well. And then they have all your coffee options as well. So I really love Walden's. I like what they're doing there. Always great staff.
Yeah.
And it's a good place to go.
It definitely is. I've met clients over the years that always want to meet you in a coffee shop or meet you somewhere, and I'd rather go to somewhere like that than be in a Starbucks or some
Totally.
other big chain type of breakfast or coffee type place. So hopefully you'll get some good places to go eat breakfast. If you're enjoying the kind of content we're putting out there or want to know about lots of other things Northern Nevada, by all means, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear your comments and your feedback and what your favorite breakfast spots are as well. As we always say, this is not an all-inclusive list. So we appreciate you watching today's video, and we'll see you next time on another video very soon.